Okay, good morning all. I was asked to do a video on my flower pot antenna that I built. This is not my design. It is one I found while searching YouTube and decided to go ahead and build it. This is the first one I've built right here. This is a 3.5 foot length of thin wall PVC pipe, 1-inch PVC pipe, 200 psi, and I ended up putting an end on it so that I could throw it in the camp trailer and whatever I needed to do to just make it portable. I have just held it in my hand and transmitted off my handheld, and it works just fine. Today we're going to build one using a 4-foot piece of PVC pipe, again 1-inch thin wall, 200 psi, and some of the things you're going to need is a PVC pipe, 12 foot of RG58 cable, 20 inches of regular wire. This is 14 gauge. It'll be cut down to proper length when you get it installed. Some string, could be a foot long, about that. Shrink wrap, some foil tape. If you want to make it dual band, you'll need the foil tape. Solder and soldering iron, a couple of Sharpies, a ruler, black tape, and a razor knife. Now this is the plan that I used, and this is what I went by, and it came out just beautifully. Now the first thing I did was mark down 19 inches from the end of the pipe. That's going to be my center line right there. That's the center line of where the element would be. From that section I marked down 447 millimeters or 17.6 inches, and that's where I drilled my first hole. This hole needs to be the same size as your coax cable. From there I will wrap 9 turns of the RG58 down, mark a second hole, and drill a second hole to produce the coil. Now the way that I did that is I took my section of RG58, just inserted in the hole, and started wrapping. Remember, you have to do 9 turns. Make sure it's going to be tight before you drill your hole. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Where this 9th one is going to be, take your Sharpie and put another mark in where you can drill your second hole. Make sure it is in perfect alignment with the first hole that you drilled. Then you can take the PVC off and we'll drill the second hole. Now once I drilled the hole, I rounded it out a little bit to make it easier to feed the coax in. If you're curious, this measurement from center hole to center hole is about 2 1/8 inches. If you want it in millimeters, about 54 millimeters. Okay, soldering iron is hot, just so you know. Now we're done with this section for now. For the next step, take our razor knife and we're going to strip, or you can use your wire strippers, about 1/4 inch off the end of your wire. Go ahead and tin that with solder. And then put it aside. Then we're going to take our section of coax And we're going to come about 1 inch down and strip off the outer shell. Now we're going to take the shielding, peel it back, and we're actually going to just cut it right off. At this point, I take a piece of heat shrink, make sure it covers the shielding, and cover it up. Now we take the center conductor and again strip off about 1/4 inch. This does not have to be exactly 1/4 inch. You can, if you can do it shorter, you can do it shorter if you'd like. I'm going to twist and go ahead and tin this end as well. Okay, we'll take the first part here. Put on a section of heat shrink. And then we're going to put these two together. Okay, once those are solid, slide the heat shrink over and seal it up. And that's all you need with the soldering iron. Once you're done with that, you can unplug it and get it out of the way. Now that's the basic part of the antenna right there. Now comes the building part. Now this element here is supposed to be 457 millimeters or 17.99 inches. I made mine right to 18 and it worked out just fine. Where you're measuring from is where you remove the shielding to the very end of the wire. And just cut it off. So from the base of where you removed the outer shielding to the tip, 17.99 inches or 457 millimeters. Now the bottom part of the element is 447 millimeters. And again, that's measured from the very bottom, the base of the shielding. So we'll put that right at 447. Take it down to the end here. Then I'm going to mark it with a different colored Sharpie. This mark is very important because this is where you'll pull it through your PVC pipe. Now you'll take your piece of string and we're just going to tie it to the end of the the wire and secure it with electrical tape. You don't want to use metal wire because that will increase the length of your element, which will throw it off. Okay, now we're going to start the assembly of the antenna. Take your PVC pipe and we're just going to feed this end through. Make sure it goes towards the top. Once it comes to the top, pull your string out, and then we're going to retract it back through until we see the mark that we made on the tape. There it is right there. That's going to be the start of our coils. That puts the element, the center of the element, right over the center of this, which is important here in a minute if you want to make it a dual band antenna. Now here's where we start our 9 turns. This has to be tight. It's going to be a little bit difficult because I've got 12 feet of coax, but once it gets fed through, I'll pull it through and make it tight. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Take the other end of our coax. We're going to feed it through the hole, make sure it comes out the back side here, and we're going to pull it through. Make sure everything is tight. Now for this top element, we're going to pull the line taut. That'll straighten out the wire down the inside. And we're going to secure it with electrical tape. You can make it permanent, you can make it temporary for now. If you want to make it an outdoor antenna, you'll put a cap on the end and drill through the cap on the bottom and feed the coax through. Now this is basically done as far as a single element or single band antenna. This is a 2 meter band antenna at this point. Now I didn't believe the second point that we're going to do here very much, but once I got it done and found out it worked, it's a pretty good idea. We're going to make it a dual band. It's going to be 2 meter and 70 centimeter band antenna. Now to do that, we've got to put a piece of foil around the outside of the pipe, 9.5 inches, centered on the center of the element. So we're going to mark it 4 3/4 up and 4 3/4 down. That'll make it 9.5 inches. Now, I'm not a professional, but we'll try and draw a line around this to give us a general reference. Okay. And that's where our foil tape's going to go. Now to do mine, I needed 2 sections that were 9.5 inches to go around the circumference of the whole antenna or the whole PVC pipe. So we'll take the first one here, measure out 9.5. Cut it, measure out a second section, 9.5. and cut it. Now, probably the most difficult part about this for me was putting the foil tape on without getting bubbles and wrinkles in it. Still haven't been able to do it perfectly, but the antenna still worked just as well. Peel the backing off, put it on your pipe, and then gradually roll it around. We take our second section, if I can get the foil off. We're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to overlap this. Just a little bit. Half inch or so. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap it around. You have to make sure that the whole circumference of the PVC is covered with the foil tape. And that basically does it. That's the end of the antenna. That's how it's all constructed. Now you can put whatever end you want on here, whether you want a PL259, if you want a BNC, whatever you want to put on here that matches your radio. If you want to cap it, you can go get caps to put on the ends to make it and seal it up, make it waterproof. What I did with mine is once I got the foil tape on there, I covered it in electrical tape to kind of protect it, and I covered the coiling to kind of protect it as well. And that's basically it. That's how I built my flower pot antenna. One I showed you earlier, I was getting a 1.1, 1.2 SWR on it. I was very pleased with it, and it worked really well. Those that listened to the net the other night could tell that I was surprised that it was hitting the repeater as strong as it was on a little handheld. I thought I was transmitting on high power, but I was actually on 2 watts through my TYT radio, and it worked just well. If you have any questions, you can put them down below. Go ahead and make your own antenna if you'd like, and enjoy. This is Mike. I am KE7 VSP. Have a good day.